thank you for coming today. Now, you may notice that it has been a little while since I uploaded a video, but I am back now, so please forgive me if my speaking and or editing skills are just a little bit rusty. Shaking off some of that dust, and I am back now and happy to show you how to bake some things. So, today I will be showing you how to make some sourdough starter, as you may have gathered from the title of this video. So, right here is my good friend Ronaldo. Ronaldo has been with me for about 3 years at this point. He is lovely. He makes some wonderful sourdough, and I am very happy with Ronaldo. He is about 3 or 4 years old, as I said, and this is his new friend, who I have not yet named. This starter is about 2 weeks old. As you can tell, he is been fed just a few hours ago, so he's just starting his rise. But today I'm going to show you how to make a brand new starter so that you can be making your very own sourdough in hopefully less than 2 weeks, maybe about 7 or 8 days. You should be able to make a wonderful sourdough starter just like this so that you can make your very own sourdough bread. So, I think I'm mostly going to explain a few of the rules more than just talk you through how to make a starter, because it is fairly straightforward. I'll likely just list out the instructions and tell you a little bit more about it. So, let's get going. All you need to start a sourdough starter is a nice little vessel. I really like my plastic container, but I did use glass for this tutorial just so that you could really see what's going on inside there. But any sort of container, whether it be a glass jar, a plastic container, but something with a nice resealable lid is really helpful. You'll also just need some water and some flour. I like to use both all-purpose and a whole wheat flour when I start, just because the whole wheat gives the sourdough a nice little snack to help it get going and really start rising as quickly as you possibly can. But you can just go with straight all-purpose flour if you'd like. I also like to use a rubber band, that was mostly just to show you what's going on, so that you can tell that the sourdough does rise a little bit almost every single time. So all you need to start your sourdough starter is flour and water. What you're going to do is just mix equal parts, throw it in your jar, add a little rubber band if you'd like to track your progress, and then you're just going to leave it alone. For 24 hours, you're not going to touch anything. You're going to let your sourdough starter just sit there. Now, on day 1, you are going to see probably no change. The rubber band, you'll probably see nothing rise above the rubber band on day 1, but do not worry. Again, sourdough starter is all about taking your time. So, for day 2, you're going to go ahead, pull out a little bit of your 1-day-old starter, add it to a bowl, and you're going to add, again, equal parts flour and water. Mix it all up, throw it back in your jar. I like to transfer it over to another jar, just so that I can have a nice, clean start every single day. Throw back on your rubber band and leave it for another 24 hours. Now, after 48 hours is probably when you will start seeing a little bit of rise happening in your starter. The yeasts are very excited. They have started to rise. It may be possible that depending on the temperature, depending on where you are, you may get like a full rise out of this starter. It may fill up your full jar. Now, do me a favor, don't try and make sourdough with this. It probably will not turn out well. This is sort of like a fool's sourdough starter. It gets excited, but it doesn't have the strength to really support your bread, at least in my experience. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to take a portion of this starter, and you're going to feed it again with equal parts flour and water, and you're going to wait another 24 hours. So days 3 through like 6 or 7 or maybe even 8, you're just going to keep doing the exact same thing. You're probably going to see very similar results. If your sourdough didn't come all the way up to the top on day 2, then it'll probably happen day 3 or 4. Again, it depends on your temperature. So after I get a day where I have a really nice rise in my starter, where it maybe even fills up the whole jar, I like to switch the quantities of the flour I'm using around just a little bit. But if you're using just one type of flour, then you can go ahead, keep doing that. It's really just my personal preference, the way that I do this with my little combination of flours, but it is not necessary, and I found that you can do this exact same thing with just all-purpose. So the process of making your starter is very, very repetitive. You're just going to go on and keep doing the exact same thing every single day. You're going to take some starter, you're going to feed it, water, flour, mix it, wait for 24 hours. As I said, I like to wait 24 hours between feeding my starter, so replenishing it with the flour and water. That is really just what I have found works, what happens with the temperature that I have here, but you might have to feed it a little more often. So as you can see, this rubber band here is the amount of starter I have when it's completely newly mixed. As soon as I throw it in the jar, this is where it's at. My starter usually rises to about 2/3 of the way full of the jar, so it about triples in height. And then after it is done, it is used up all the nutrients it can get from the flour, it will fall back down. So it is likely that when you come to feed your starter 24 hours later, you'll see that it doesn't look like it's at a higher level, but you'll see streaks on the side of your glass. If you're using a clean glass or container, that just means that it's fallen before 24 hours. So it used up all the food that it can get within the 24 and it's fallen back down. This is not a problem, it just means that your yeast is a little bit faster than you are. Another thing to look out for is that as you're learning how your starter works, maybe be careful about having a glass jar with a sealed top, because it is possible that the top will completely explode off if your starter is too powerful. So just keep an eye on that, maybe keep a lookout so that you don't have a little explosion that scares you in the middle of the night or something like that. Hello, buddy. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about is if you go like way too long between feeding your starter. Maybe you forget about it one day, maybe you're away and you're not able to feed it, and it's been 48 hours. Your starter has likely gone through its full rise and fall, and it is possible that you'll start to see it separate a little bit. There's a little bit of like an oil or a funny watery substance on top. Now, personally, I will just mix this back in and start again. There's nothing too harmful in your water-flour mixture, so you can go ahead and just use this again. Now, something I will advise is that you don't want to go more than 24 hours without feeding your starter. It will start to separate, the bacteria or the yeasts will start to die because they don't have enough food. So if you know that it's going to be a little while between you being able to get to your starter, if you're going to have like a crazy busy week, or if you're going away, then you can go ahead and you can put your sourdough starter in the fridge after you've fed it, and it should be okay for about a week. It will maybe not rise quite as much or not rise quite as fast, but it should still be good to go after a week. So after about 7 or 8 days, I would say that your starter should almost definitely be good to go. I am going to leave just a really simple recipe for sourdough bread at the end. I'm not going to show you how to make sourdough bread today. I will save that for the next video. It's just a little bit too much to fit into one, I believe, so hopefully that will be coming up. But I hope you have fun making your sourdough starter, and I look forward to showing you all the different ways that you can use it.